Greetings to all auto-selling professionals. Before I tell you about this week's urgent message, may I introduce myself as Madam Sophia, the virtual assistant to CTM Joseph NG, your sales and marketing e-coach. Without further ado, here it is. Warning, warning, warning. Adjust the driver's seat or face serious risks. Be forewarned, it is unacceptable of the driver to push back the seat as far as it will go, until it's almost in a declining position. The eye-line is at the same level as the window. Just one hand rests lightly on the steering wheel. Some drivers think it's cool to sit this way, but an incorrectly adjusted front seat is bad for your back and dangerous for others. According to the ADAC, Europe's largest motoring club, and a German association that promotes healthy backs, AGR, seat adjustment is a highly individual matter. Not everyone's body is built the same. In the past, car seats could be adjusted mostly for inclination and amount of footroom, but much more is possible nowadays. Modern car seats can be adjusted for height, inclination, and surface area. Many also come with bolsters and lumbar support built into the seat. Perfect adjustments come at a cost. The more precisely that a seat can be adjusted to fit a driver, the better. That said, better seats usually cost more money. However, all those options are useless if the driver doesn't use them properly. To find the right adjustment, the driver should first place his or her backside against the backrest. The backrest should be adjusted so that there is an angle of about 110 between the thigh and the torso. Shoulder blades and the lumbar spine should be well supported. Foot room is correct when the feet can still comfortably reach the pedals and the legs are slightly bent when using the car's pedals. The seat should be adjusted so the thighs are lightly supported and there is a width of 3 fingers between the back of the knee and the seat edge, says AGR. This ensures better distribution of pressure on the seat surface and prevents pressure on the back of the knee. A cushion can't replace lumbar support. The seat height should be set so that the driver can easily see all around him or her, says AGR, and it should be as high as possible. However, there should always be a hand's width of space between the head and the roof. The ADAC advises setting seat height so the driver's eye line is about the halfway point of the front windscreen. Lumbar support ensures the spine is supported in its natural shape. Depending on the model, switches, joysticks, or wheels often found at the bottom left of the seat are used to adjust support. The adjustment should always be made from the bottom up. According to the AGR, the pelvic area is the most important for support. If you don't have such adjustments, the solution is not to stuff a cushion between the back and the backrest, as this can become extremely dangerous in an accident, according to the ADAC. Instead, drivers should look for accessories that allow them to retrofit the seat. They just have to be installed in a way that they can't slip. According to the experts, you want about 25 to 30 centimeters between the torso and the airbag. Steering wheel. The steering wheel is well adjusted if you can rest your wrist on top of the rim with your shoulders resting against the backrest while your arms stretched. When driving, your hands should be at the 9 and 3 o'clock positions on the steering wheel. Your arms should always be bent, not straight. The shoulders should always be pushed up against the backrest. A word of warning, the headrest should be as high and steep as possible, and adjusted so that it protects the head but does not support the neck. If you set it too low, you risk serious head and spinal injuries in an accident. The AGR advises that the upper edge of the headrest should be flush with the upper edge of the head. Looking back at the example of poor driving from earlier, the issues are clearer. The driver's back is barely in contact with the backrest, the seatbelt is no longer optimally positioned, and it's impossible to hit the brakes with enough force in case of an emergency. As for driving with one hand, that driver is likely to be overwhelmed in an emergency situation. Evasive maneuvers would become unpredictable, pulling without any accuracy, says the ADAC. And if the airbag is deployed, the force of one's own arm can become a danger if it's resting on top of the steering wheel at the time. Source: The Star, 28 August 2021. Happy with the first part of this week's sharing? I bet you do. Before leaving you, I like to introduce the next speaker. She is none other than Madam Florence VA, another virtual assistant to CTM Joseph NG. All right.
Thank you, Madam Sophia, for allowing me to finish the final part of this week's Red Hot News. All right. Oh. Before saying another word, may I introduce myself as Madam Florence, another virtual assistant to CTM Joseph NG, your sales and marketing e-coach. Let's roll it, shall we? Chapter 5, the order blank, close quote. During the entire interview, have your order form or contract in front of your customer's eyes. If you can use your contract as your worksheet, do so. As your prospect agrees to each point, write it down until you have clarified the complete sale. By Dottie Walters, president of Walters International Speakers Bureau, as well as a founding member of the National Speakers Association, NSA, and founder of the International Association of Speakers Bureaus. Do you really know an order form may sometimes be used entirely in selling and closing of a sale? But do display your order form from the beginning of the interview. This allows your prospect to become accustomed to seeing the order form before it comes into use. When you reach the point in your interview that you need to record the information relative to the sale, start recording this information on your order form. As you proceed with this, you should start to ask trail closing questions. The answers to which you write on the order form. What constitutes a trail closing question in the order form techniques? Any question you ask, the answer to which confirms that your prospect is buying. What kind of questions should you ask? Obviously, your first question that you should ask if you don't know already. This would be, what is your correct full name, sir? This is the first thing you should find out from the prospect. The best way I have found to get this information is to ask, what is your correct full name, sir or madam? He tells you. You record that in your order form. What is your correct mailing address? This might be the second best question that you could ask. He tells you. You record this is in your order form. Where should we ship your product if product shipment is involved? Where shall we make the delivery, if delivery is involved? Or, where shall we make the installation, if this is applicable? You continue asking the question to get the information you need. You start writing the answer on your order form. Do you realize that as long as your prospect is answering your trail closing questions, he is buying? You assume that he is buying. It is only when he stops answering that he stops buying. In many instances, you can lead him all the way to his final commitment without him refusing to answer even one question. But you must ask the question. Your prospect is used to seeing your pen and contract. They are not formidable items, used in the retail trade. It is very powerful. One of my attendees who was at my seminar shared her experience with me. She is a marketing executive in the travel and tour business located in Bukit Bintang, KL. Normally, it is used when the customer comes in. You simply take out the order sheet and begin to complete it as though the prospect comes in and says, I am here to buy something. And even though the prospect is only asking buying questions and the prospect might suddenly says, wait a minute, don't fill out the order sheet because I have not decided to buy anything, and you say, Mr. Prospect, I have a terrible memory for details. And I just want to jot everything we say so that I don't forget anything you say. If you decide not to buy anything today, I would just put the order sheet aside. Then you go on and write down everything the prospect says on the order sheet. In time, the prospect will become accustomed to you filling up the order sheet. It's got a date on it. It has the things he has been talking about on it, and it is very easy for him or her to make the decision to go ahead at the end of the presentation. Believable. Actually, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to see why. True. Summary: to boil down the entire chapter in a few sentences, we must remember that you must ensure that the prospect can get used to your order book or form. Also, the questioning techniques must be skillfully applied on the prospect. These questions should confirm the would-be buyer may reveal signs that he or she would ultimately buy. If your order form meets objection, the sales professional must give a valid excuse and then proceed smoothly. Easy to recall if need be. Conclusion: to wrap this type of closing method, better known as the order blank close, it is important to understand there may be obstacles in its execution. Nevertheless, it is yet another great way to close the sales. My workshop attendee has used this method effectively, so have I. Even if you may have not tested this method, I personally urge you to try it out yourself. Believe it or not, it never fails you. You can bet your last dollar or ringgit it will work. My last few words of this chapter are best ended with a quote by William Clement Stone, a successful businessman, philanthropist, and New Thought self-help book author. He says, sales are contingent upon the attitude of the salesman, not the attitude of the prospect. What more can I say but to bid you goodbye and hoping to see you in the next chapter. Agree. End of chapter 5. Are you happy with this chapter? I hope you are. Before closing, on behalf of Madam Sophia and CTM Joseph, we wish you all the best and happy selling. Thank you and goodbye.